explanation. So you can see my setup here is that you're going to need a mat or at least some kind of padded, comfortable surface to work on. And then we're going to review the Dawn realignment for the hip. So Debs, you did that course as well with Anna, so you know this. But it's really, really lovely to be able to include this for clients because it's a very gentle self-readjustment. And what you will need is either a TheraBand or a strap or a scarf or a towel, something like that, that you can loop around the top of your leg for when we do that realignment. And then the only other thing you might need is a little pillow or a cushion to put under your head if you're uncomfortable lying with your head flat on the ground. Okay. All right, so I think we're ready to get going, guys. So let's start in a standing position. So I'm going to stand quite far back so that hopefully you guys can see me. Let me just angle my camera up a little bit more. All right, I think you guys can see me there. So we're going to practice our gluteal activation that we did the other day. So stand with your feet slightly apart. Take your hands, place your hands on your ASIS and your pubis at the front. And I want you to soften your knees a little bit. I'm going to turn sideways so you can see what I'm doing. And all we're going to do is start with a little bit of a posterior tilt of the pelvis and then moving towards an anterior tilt of the pelvis. So I want you to just keep rocking your pelvis forwards and backwards underneath you. And remember, for your clients that maybe have lower back tenderness or maybe the sacroiliac joint is out, you might want to keep this very, very small. I'm going quite big just so that I can demonstrate to you guys what it actually looks like. So let's just do a few more and start to notice how your lumbar spine changes its curve as you move the pelvis. And it's quite nice to point this out to your clients as well so that they realize that they are connected. And now bring your pelvis into a neutral position for you. Stay there. Keep your right hand on the front of your pelvis and just put your left hand in your lower back and just feel the curve of your own spine. So by the way, all of us, there are 8 of us in this session, all 8 of us are going to have slightly different natural curves of the spine. And now keep your right hand on your pelvis, place your left hand between your 2 bum cheeks, and I want you to start to squeeze your hand with your 2 bum cheeks. So you are drawing the right and the left bum cheeks together, squeezing your hand without tucking the pelvis. Now stay there, and I'm going to make you double check that you're breathing, because that is the first thing that goes out the door, is people start to focus and then they stop breathing. So do you have neutral? Have you activated gluteals? Are you breathing? And now let both your hands come down beside you, and then see if you can straighten your knees. Maintain neutral pelvis, maintain a gentle activation of the gluteals, and then stay there for a moment and just allow your brain to recognize it, because we're going to use it in some of our other exercises within the Pilates series. Take a nice easy breath in. Exhale, relax your bum cheeks and give your bum just a little bit of a wiggle there. All right, please come and lie on your backs. You're going to lie supine. Decide for yourself if you need to have any kind of support underneath your head. I'm just going to tilt my camera a little bit again. And we're just going to start with a connection to our breath. There's just huge power in us being able to breathe properly. So start off with your knees bent, separate your feet slightly, and then move your hands up to the sides of your ribs. So you're going to have your right hand on the right ribs, left hand on the left ribs, Find a little bit of length through your spine, and then I just invite you here to close your eyes if you're comfortable to do so, or you can just soften your gaze and just start to surrender your weight into the floor below you. Make any adjustments you need to your body position so that you feel completely at ease and supported by the ground. And we're going to be breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. Start to feel your ribs moving underneath your hands with your breath. Start to notice how it gives you an opportunity to slow down and actually feel the areas of tension you may be holding in your body without even being aware of it. Bring your awareness to the back of your ribs as you breathe in and out. And can you feel that there is that same expansion and closing of your rib cage at the back body? Stay with your breath and visualize how your lungs inflate like two balloons as you breathe in. And visualize how they deflate as you exhale all your air out. And can you imagine how that breath is stretching and expanding you from the inside out? So we're actually working on the fascia through the body from the inside out as we breathe consciously. And then the last thing I'd like you to focus on with your breath is your diaphragm. And as you breathe in, visualize how the diaphragm flattens downwards to create space. And as you breathe out, visualize how the diaphragm lifts up again to help push the air out of your lungs. And remember that the diaphragm, with all its connective tissue, connects all the way around the ribs, but also down to the lumbar spine. So start to notice the release of your lower back as you feel your diaphragmatic breath. And for some of our clients, literally taking 5 minutes like this in the morning, lunchtime, and evening is going to give huge relief for the back. And you might even recommend to them that as they lie like this, they have their feet elevated and resting up on top of a chair. Let's just take one more breath in and out. And then slowly start to blink your eyes open, coming back onto your mat. And then slide your hands down onto the front of your pelvis. And we're going to start tilting the pelvis posterior and then coming back to neutral again. You might want to go a little bit anterior. And in our session on Monday, we had a focus of our feet creating this movement. So what I'd like you to do now is move your focus to the lower attachments of the abdominals. So we have rectus abdominis attaching down towards the pubic bone. We have the external obliques attaching down to the pelvis. We have the internal obliques originating on the pelvis. And we have the TA, the transverse abdominis, So start to connect your breathing that you did 2 seconds ago to this movement and see if you can start to activate the lower abdominals. And for a lot of clients, this is a challenge because the bum wants to grip or the feet just want to push. Can you find a connection to the lower abs? Keep it going for just a few more and just feeling the ripple effect all the way up your spine as you move your pelvis. And maybe it's not just the lower back this time. This is a wonderful stretch for the QL, the quadratus lumborum. But can you start to notice how the movement comes up the thoracic spine, cervical spine, and you might even feel your shoulders and your head rocking on the floor. Very, very soothing. And let's come back to the center and pause for a moment. We're going to do our Dorn realignment. We're just going to review it. So please take your strap or your support, whatever you have chosen to use. I've got my TheraBand, which I'm going to be doubling over so that it's a little bit more rigid. You don't want something with too much stretch. And I want you to pick up your right leg. Just loop the band around the top of the femur there. Sorry, I see somebody's got a little chat here, a little question. So you're going to wrap it around the femur of the right side, and then you're going to be almost pulling the ends of your band or the strap towards the left shoulder. So not too much, not completely across, but that's the emphasis. So on your breath, stretch your right leg all the way out and then just rest your leg on the floor. So you're not going to hold it in the air. Let it go all the way down and then just float it back up. And now, as you stretch the right leg out, give a pull on your strap with your hands to create almost a suctioning feeling of the femur up into the socket. Now just keep going at your own rhythm. And the whole thought process behind this Dorn realignment is that you are creating stability for yourself at the joint, so at the hip joint right here. And as you stretch your leg out, you are creating a traction for yourself. So the weight of your leg pulling away from that stability at the socket is what's realigning you if you're out of alignment. And we're just going to release, and then you're going to take the strap and we're going to wrap it around the left side. So, getting a nice firm grip. And then in your own time, just stretch your leg all the way out and let it float back up. And now as you stretch the leg, give a little bit of a pull onto the strap. So listen, most people are fine with this movement because it's really very gentle. But I have actually worked with some clients where their lower back is just so tender that even this movement is quite a strain for them. So you want to encourage people to feel what's happening with their body, and you want to encourage people to move at a pace that feels okay for them. They don't need to rush this. Let's just take a few more. And let's take one more. And release. And then just take the strap away. And sorry guys, for this next little section, you will need something to put between your knees. So either a cushion, a ball, a foam block, a towel, something like that, that you can give a little bit of a squeeze with your knees. So I'm going to use my foam block and just pop it between your knees and put your hands onto your pelvis. This is also part of this realignment of the Dorn. So let your pelvis stabilize, and then gently start squeezing your knees onto the block, because if there's any kind of misalignment at the pubis, this is going to help realign it. And for some people, you can actually hear like quite a big adjustment. So just today, it's quite interesting. I'm noticing now as I squeeze the block that I'm aware of my sacroiliac joints at the back. So I have a feeling maybe something's out for me. And just keep breathing here. We're just going to hold it for a few more seconds. And release. Just take the block out for a moment. Put it down beside you, and then place your arms down beside you. So you are going to press your pelvis up. Just come up as high as it feels okay for your back, but you want to really feel that you're engaging gluteus maximus. And then hinge your pelvis back down again. And now we're going to go again. Press your pelvis up. So this is the last little section of our dawn alignment, and releasing it down, because hopefully once we've got the sacrum realigned, one more time, press up. We want to activate the gluteus maximus to help stabilize it there, and releasing it all the way down. Place your hands on your pelvis again, stretch one leg out, stretch the other leg out, flex your ankles, and then just squeeze your legs together. And in a neutral pelvis that you're monitoring with your hands, do your ankle bones and the knuckles of the big toes line up with each other. So that's one of the ways that we can actually tell if we're in alignment or not. So you're going to open your eyes again, and I want you to bend your knees, putting your feet onto the ground, and then putting your arms down beside you. So now, instead of doing a pelvic press, we're going to roll our hips up towards the sky. So tilt your hips, feel the imprint, and then start rolling up through the spine. And you really want to bias towards a posterior pelvic tilt, because that's going to ensure that you're lifting from the base of the pelvis and not the lumbar spine. Relax the back of your neck, and then start to roll through the spine, just placing yourself consciously, feeling each vertebra connect to the ground, and releasing your pelvis down. We're going to do two more like this. Tilting your hips. So guys, you recognize this as our pelvic curl, sort of one of the most common exercises that we put into classes. And exhale, ripple down. And release. And we're going to do one more time here. Tilting your hips, rolling up. Feel the lift from the base of your pelvis. Take a breath. And then start to ripple down through the spine. Imprint. And release. Now we're going to come back to that in a second. Put your hands over your pelvic bones, and we're going to practice that hip disassociation we did the other day. So on your breath, can you bring the right leg up to a tabletop position without compensating through the pelvis and the lumbar spine? And then can you place that foot all the way back down again? And now do the same thing with the left leg. So in our first session, we did that whole process of feeling like your foot is glued to the floor, just to make sure that people could engage the hip flexor and stabilize. So we're kind of assuming that people have that now. And now we're moving into alternating knee lifts. And we're just double checking that people have this connection. And now on your next breath, bring the right leg up to tabletop. Place your hands behind the thigh, flex your foot, and on your breath out, extend the leg as straight as you can. And then bend the knee and release. we're going to do 4 more. So it's just a gentle hamstring release. And the reason we're focusing on the hamstring length is that, again, so many people with sitting, and we have that bend at the back of the knee, the hamstring shorten. Guys, the hamstrings are part of your superficial back line. So it would make sense if the hamstrings are tight, you're going to have to end up taking some tension somewhere else. And oftentimes that is the sacrum and the lumbar spine. Now, one more time, extend and bend. Now, open that knee to the side and cross your right ankle over the left knee. You're going to lift your left leg up, wrap your hands around the back of the leg, and just let yourself come into a little bit of a gluteal stretch today. If you need a cushion or support underneath your head, feel free to do so. And one of the ways you can add a little bit of a connective tissue glide here is by rocking gently from side to side. So it just adds a little bit of a gliding action. And can you guys also notice the difference of this position from the stretch we sometimes do where the thighs are crossed over? When the thighs are crossed over, it's more of a piriformis stretch. It's much deeper. This comes a little bit more around the hip socket, so a bit more gluteal, and you might even feel inner thighs for some clients. And then pause for a moment, take a breath in, and then release your left foot to the ground and unfold and placing your right foot to the ground. Now stay here for a moment, and you can just let your arms settle beside you. Close your eyes and just pause for a moment and observe how does your right side feel in comparison to the left. And then opening your eyes, bringing your left knee up. Hook your hands behind the thigh, flexing the foot. And on your breath, we extend. And you may or may not be able to straighten the leg. It doesn't matter. Bend the knee again. But as long as you find a release, and you're finding the release with your breath, and just being aware of how this is affecting the whole back line of your body. And it's one of the reasons I like to do this with my ankle flexed, is because then it actually goes right down onto the sole of the foot. So it gets the whole back line. And bend your knee. And now cross your left ankle over the right knee so the knee is turned out. Bring your right foot up, wrap your hands around the back of your leg, resting head and shoulders down, and then make any adjustments you need so that you feel a stretch around the left hip, the left gluteal. And if you want to, you can add that little bit of a rocking action from side to side. Keep breathing. And notice how it feels for you on the side in comparison to the right. And then pause, placing your right foot down, and then uncross the left leg, placing that foot down, and then once again, arms beside you, close your eyes, and just feel, observe. So you guys have probably noticed that I'm a big believer in pausing after you've done certain movements or releases, and it just gives you a chance to integrate and assimilate onto your body. And then you're going to blink your eyes open again, and what I'd like you to do is to pivot your feet into a V position. So the heels are touching, the toes are out, but your feet are flat. You're not rolling onto the edges of the feet. And if you look at your knees right now, they've gone into like a diamond shape. And we're going to do a pelvic curl from here. So arms beside you, palms down or palms up, doesn't matter. On your breath, tilt your hips a little bit and start rolling up into a bridge position. And I want you to stay at the top for a moment, heels are together, you have external hip rotation, which means technically gluteus maximus is working more because that's the direction of the muscle fiber. They're external rotators. Stay for the inhale, and then start to ripple down through your spine. Feel the imprint into the lower back, and release at the end. And we go again, tilting hips, rolling up, squeeze the heels together, external hip rotation, and you might notice if your hip flexors are tight, this is a bit easier for you because you've now moved out of the line of fiber of the iliopsoas. And then roll down through the spine, soften through the throat, over the lungs and heart, over the belly, and release your pelvis at the bottom. Let's take 2 more. Tilting hips. Double check for yourself, guys, that you're still standing evenly on your 2 feet, that you've got all 10 toes on the ground, even though you're in a V position with the feet. Ripple down through the spine. I don't know about you guys, but I can really feel my gluteals are waking up here, which is great. We're going to do 1 more time. Tilting your hips. Rolling up into a bridge position. Hold it here. We're going to let the hips hinge down just about 2 inches and press them up again. Hinge down, press up. It's small and you are working just at the end range of movement. So we are in external hip rotation and we are moving to hip extension, which is exactly the combination that gluteus maximus likes. Let's take 3 more, 2 more, last one, and now roll down through your spine. Take your time, imprint, and release. Separate your heels so that you're back into parallel. You're going to bring your right knee up to tabletop, hip disassociation, connect core, left knee comes up to join. So now you are really loading the transverse abdominis because the hip flexors are tugging on the lower back. If you need to go into a posterior tilt, please do so. We're going to start to jog the legs 1 at a time, tapping the toe. Switch. Switch. So this, guys, is a progression of what we did last week with hip disassociation and just picking up 1 leg at a time. So now with both feet in the air, it is open chain work. It's much more challenging, and this is where you're going to find a lot of your clients start to struggle with open chain work. Taking just a few more, engaging the hip flexors eccentrically, concentrically. Last one, and bring both legs up, hug them in towards you, and then just tuck your chin and curl yourself forward so you're in a tight little ball shape. And releasing head and shoulders down. So just roll your head gently to one side. Bring your head over to the other side. And then bring your head to the center. So we're going to practice that transition, which is very gentle on the lower back. It's a halfway, it's a hybrid between rolling like a ball and a roll-up. So take your hands, hook them behind your thighs. You're going to have your feet lifted a little bit. Start to move your thighs away from your chest until your elbows are straight and you can feel that there's pressure at the back of your legs. You're going to curl your head forward towards your knees. Because the elbows are straight, as you round your spine, you are pouring your body weight into your feet. So it's a slow roll up, and it is a very assisted roll up. So it's great for people with lower back issues. Bring your head towards your knees, take a breath in, and then start rolling yourself back again. So until your elbows are straight, and then just let your feet float up and you pour your body weight back towards your shoulders and head, and then rest down and let your knees come towards your chest. And let's do one more time. Bringing your thighs away. Curl your spine. Pour your body weight. You still need to breathe, by the way. Exhale. Feet touch, bringing your head towards your knees, and then unravel your spine and lifting tall. So it's a really lovely way to transition to a seated position. And now let's come onto all fours. So in this 4-point position, you do want to make sure that your wrists are comfortable. So if you need to work on fists, if you need to get yourself some handlebars, or roll up a towel underneath your hands, then feel free to do so. And you're going to stretch your right leg backwards behind you. Hold it there for a moment and just feel that your pelvis is level to the ground. And then see if you can pick up that leg without collapsing into the lower back. And then lower that foot back down again. And again, you're going to pick up the leg. Now see if you can keep the knee straight. So as soon as you let the knee bend, the hamstring likes to take over. So keep squeezing the quadricep and bring it down. One more time. Exhale, pick up the leg. The lower abs are engaged and we stay here. Flex your back foot. And that is going to help you engage gluteus maximus. Guys, we're staying here. Remember the isometric contraction that we did the other day where we were lying on our side? This is an isometric contraction to now actually wake up the gluteus maximus. So staying here for just a few more moments. Energy pushing backwards through the heel of the foot. Energy reaching forwards through the crown of your head. Don't forget the lower abs and how important they are in supporting the lumbar spine. Point your toe and bringing your knee all the way in. And from here with a lengthened spine, just move your hips back a little bit, taking the pressure off your wrists, and then push up onto the tips of the fingers so that you're taking all the pressure off the centers of your hands and the heels of your hands. And then place your hands flat again and bring your shoulders forward in line with your wrists. Square the hips, extend the left leg back, stay for a moment, and when you're ready, pick up the leg without collapsing into the lumbar spine and without bending the knee. And then lower the leg down again. Exhale. So in fact, when you pick the leg up, guys, we're only pretty much coming to a neutral alignment and release it down. So you could start to pick the leg up a little bit higher, lift up and hold it, stay there. But for most of our clients with lower back issues, this is basically all they need. Flex your back foot and push energy out through the heel. If it helps you to connect to the muscles by closing your eyes, then by all means, close your eyes so you can really feel what's happening. Lower abs are supporting the lumbar spine and stabilizing the pelvis. You're only keeping that leg in a straight line, even though you could take it higher, about 20 degrees. That's about extension of the hip. Point your toe, reach, And bringing that knee all the way in. And once again, just sit back a little bit. Take the weight off your wrist. Push up onto the tips of the fingers, just so that you're starting to release around the wrists and the hands a bit. And then lower the hands and start to walk your hands back so that you can come into an upright kneeling position here. So now you are going to step your right foot forward. If you need to hold on to a wall or a chair, feel free to do so. Guys, if you need padding underneath the knee, please give yourself some padding. Lift your eye line. Connect your abdominals. Put both hands on the right knee at the front and just start moving your hips a little bit forwards and backwards so that you can feel at what point do you get an opening, a release at the front of the left hip. If you need to step your feet wider, then do so. At no point do you want to collapse the lower back or take strain in the back. And now settle into the place where you feel the hip opening. Keep your right hand on your right leg and let the left arm come down. Bring the left hand up to the sky. Breathe in. And breathe out lower. And again. Inhale, lift. And exhale, lower. Taking two more. Lifting the arm. And release. One more time. Reach up. And release it all the way down. Both hands to the knee. Move your body weight so that you can step that right foot back. And now we can do the left side. So left leg comes forward. Move the pad underneath the knee if you need. Hands on the knee. And start just shifting a little bit forwards and backwards. So again, this kneeling hip flexor stretch is great for isolating iliopsoas, although guys, don't forget that you've got a little muscle at the front here as well called the TFL. Some people might feel the tension there. Not a bad thing if they're feeling a stretch. And then settle yourself and hold it there. Abs connected, left hand stays, right hand comes down. Breathe in. Breathe out. And this is such a simple movement, but can you feel how it adds tensioning to the stretch? And here's the other thing. I can feel this, but that's because my hip flexors like to work, so I need to release them. Some people, yourself included, may not feel this very intensely, and all it tells you is that you're not holding tension there. It might be somewhere else on your body, so don't force it. Just move with your breath, release it down, hands to knee, shift your body weight, and then stepping that right foot back. Now, put your hands quite close to your knees, spreading the fingers out. Tuck your toes under, and then just push away from your hands, and can you roll over? If you've got serious knee issues, you might not be able to crouch down so much. And then let your knees come down. Make any adjustments to your hand position that you need. And you're going to roll over. And because you're going into a little bit of a ball shape, you should get quite a nice stretch around the lower back. And when you come forward and bring your knees down, can you feel the stretch around the plantar fascia? This is all related to the back line, guys. One more time. Press back. Stay here. Walk your fingertips closer to your feet. And then see if you can just lift your hips up and push your feet down. And then just hang there for a moment. Your knees are soft. Let your head hang heavy. Give your head a little shake. No, 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 no. Nod your head. Yes, 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 yes. And then take a nice easy breath. Roll yourself all the way up. And lifting tall. Take a moment to roll your shoulders back and around. And then give your hands and your feet a little bit of a shake. Nicely done, guys. Let's just see if anybody has any questions or comments or how you felt with it. Did it all make sense? Did it make sense why we did each specific exercise?
Yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah. Okay, and it's stuff hopefully that's very relevant for you guys to tie in with your clients. And I think as well, we kind of take it for granted that we can do that stuff no problem. A lot of clients are going to struggle either with the certain tightnesses, you know, so the more that you can kind of go, okay, yes, I understand why I'm doing it, it'll make it relevant for teaching to your clients that are struggling as well.
You know, at the beginning when we did the dawn method and we released the legs and then we went up into, was it a pelvic press, the first one, not a curl?
It's a pelvic press, and that's very specific to dawn method because what they want to do is stabilize the sacrum and the lumbar spine and just hinge up and hinge down so that you really activate the gluteals.
Well,
and then
after I'd done all that dawn method with you then, and then I went into the curl, I had all these cracks and God knows what up my spine and on the right side of my pelvis. Not sore, it was just like something had gone back into alignment. I could tell that something had happened with doing that beginning.
Yeah, but that's another thing. Yeah, and that is the whole thing about the dawn method. I mean, listen, guys, that's just like one little snippet of it. The dawn method does an entire, works basically from the feet all the way up to the neck and into the jaw, basically. And then you finish off with this amazing spinal massage called a Broyce spinal massage with St. John's wort oil, which is amazing. And I mean, it's such an incredible method to have access to. So
it's either that or I'm falling to bits.
Yeah, that's it. Let's not fall to bits. I choose not falling to bits. All right. Fantastic, guys. Was everybody felt okay with it? Gentle work, really but gentle. I mean, I could feel my butt waking up on some of those, hey?
The isometric stuff, isn't it? It's the isometric stuff.
Love the isometrics. So guys, we've got 2 more sessions of this series next week on Monday and Thursday. And again, we're going to up the ante in each class so that you can see how we progress it. And at any point, if your clients can't manage it, you know that you've got the options to go back to, you know, as opposed to just diving in with some of the more difficult stuff.
Yeah, excellent.
Renee won't be there on Monday, but I'll look at the video before I see Thursday again.
Absolutely. I'll send the recording to everyone.
Right, I can't be there on Monday because I have a hairdressing appointment. Hooray! And I'm really sorry, it prioritizes Pilates.
We're going to dedicate our session to you, Rebecca. Dedicating it to you.
You go.
I'm very excited for you. Okay. I'll catch up, guys. And don't forget, I'm doing fascial release now. We've got a few minutes before the session starts.
Doing that as well.
Okay, guys. See you in a bit.
Bye.
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 Bye, Debs. Bye.